Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight.
And now we're moving on to the Spotlight segment where we'll be talking about Android 17 beta, which has, believe it or not, already arrived. Warren, what's new in this?
So Android 17 Beta 1, and it was something different this year. Unlike last year, we had the developer preview back like in November. I mean, I'm talking of Android 16. That's the year before. I mean, the iteration before. I don't want to get mixed up here. But so in Android 16, we had that developer preview come through in November, and I was thinking we were going to have it. But Google didn't. And so they did something different this year. And the reason, in my never to be humble opinion, all is owed to the fact that we now have that Android Canary, which developers can, play with and see what is coming. And so because of that, Google decided to take a different route. And so instead of having developer previews, we don't have those anymore, because if you want a developer preview, you better enroll in the Canary. I had it enrolled on my Pixel 8, and yeah, it was ahead of the curve and all of that. And some of those things would come into the regular Android later on, but this is where developers will see what the roadmap is, things that may or may not come to Android. And so as a result of that, Google got rid of the developer program. And so here we are. Instead, we just start with the beta series, and which is good in my never to be humble opinion. So we got that first beta for Android 17. And to be honest, I do not think that there's anything that I have found accessibility-wise that is new to speak of. A matter of fact, mine came with Android 16.0, and I had to update my talkback to Android Accessibility Suite suites. I can't even speak. Android Accessibility Suite 16.2, or else it was with talkback 16.0. So really, nothing in there that is new when it comes to accessibility. If there's anything that's new, though, lots of it is just visual stuff, and even that, not much to write home about. If you have QPR3 Beta 2.1, for example, some of those things are just the same, or some of the things in the Canary are there, and the Canary still has some stuff that are not even in this Android 17 Beta 1. But the one thing, if you have some site, I know some people have been complaining about, it has to do with that bar at the bottom, the search bar, the Google search bar that you found at the bottom of the dock that people don't like, that black bar there. Now you can actually customize that. So you long press on that, and you could choose whether you want it dark, you want it light, or you could tap on custom, and you can choose it to be transparent, and you can tweak it some more. And then another thing is that you can add other things to that bar or remove stuff from it. For example, we got the AI search in there. If you want to replace it with something else, there are a bunch of things on there that you could replace it with, or you can put there on that bar, things like translate, weather, news, and all of that. You could decide to add those to that bar. And so that's one of those changes that Android 17 Beta 1 brought alongside with it. And then another thing, though, that I noticed is that when you go into the system settings, they are a little bit more compact, not a lot of spaces like it used to be. And then some things got reorganized a little bit. For example, if you go into privacy and you go into, I think, more privacy or whatever, you see the health apps and all of that is kind of a little bit redesigned and a little bit more called like Health Connect or Health whatever. I don't remember what it is, but that's one of those changes. To be honest, other than that, yeah, there's some visuals, like I said, especially maybe like in the quick panel and some of that, but we don't have a separation between the notification and the quick panel like one has with a Samsung device. So I thought that was coming, but it's not there. So far, as far as I'm concerned, I think those are some of the very few changes that I saw in there. I had it done late last night, so I haven't really finish playing with it much, but these are some of the things that I saw.
I do love cinnamon buns.
You love cinnamon buns, John. You know what?
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Just so listeners know, this is the code name for. I'm not just randomly starting over here.
No, you're right. You're right. That boy. You know what? It used to be that I like cinnamon stuff, most especially like in my apple cider and all of that. I like that in my apple cider. But yeah, the cinnamon buns, I don't know. Now and then I may eat it, but they're kind of a little bit too sugary for.
I think they're one of my favorite desserts, right up there with cheesecake. I think cheesecake is probably my favorite, and then cinnamon buns.
Oh my goodness, Karen, how about you? You like cinnamon bun?
Cinnamon is only used on meat and on chicken for me because I don't like it at all in desserts.
So no cinnamon buns for you then.
No.
Yeah, I mean now and then. But to be honest, I don't remember when the last time that I ate a cinnamon bun. Probably maybe 10 years ago. So it tells you I'm not a lover, and it's such a bad word to say on Valentine for those of you who really care about Valentine. So, I'm not a lover, not a hater either, but. But it's yeah, so there goes that cinnamon bun, John. Maybe you could have one tonight just to celebrate Android 17 Beta 1.
Sure, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I really wish that Google didn't stop that naming of Android versions that we had before. I know that they are just still using it internally. But I think that was cool. It was something like making Android stand out, unlike iOS. But I don't know. They like just to go for stuff that is like the traditional things. So we still like from time to time just to remember what was that Android 4.0 and what that Android 4.2 called and that stuff. So I don't know, but that was something really nice, but Google just removed or stopped that, all of that. But it's still, as you already said, it's still used internally, but not for the official naming of the versions.
Yeah, we just have boring numbers now.
Yeah, and who knows? Those boring numbers may graduate to something else and be like Fruitvale, and
They better not graduate to the year.
Android 27, Android 28. I'll hit that.
I bet it will.
No, please,
That'd be so
no.
disappointing.
Yeah, I think that right now, though, Android 16, Android 17, that's not bad. At least it tells you how long it's been there, right? Instead of saying, oh, we're now Android 29 or 2029 or whatever. That's nonsense.
But does it tell you how long it's been there? Because it hasn't always been one full version every year. Like early on, every year it'd be like 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. Remember? Early on, it didn't go.
Yeah, it
was that, like.
Yeah, it was like that. And it was very confusing. I hated that myself. I think I preferred the numbering to the point version that we used to have. And oh my gosh, it was very annoying. And I think that's why we have these QPRs instead, and which I think the QPR program is a better program when you compare it to all of that nonsense that we used to have back then, Android Lollipop 5.0, 5.1, 5.2, whatever, you get that new.
Not really.
No?
Not really. No, because let me tell you something. If I'm changing a full version, like I'm saying 4.0 to 5.0, this means that there should be a real change. But to be honest, right now, only they are just we have just refinements. So I don't think that there's really a big difference between Android 16 and Android 17. It's just refining the experience for the user. Yeah. So if you call it Android 16.1, what's the problem?
And same with TalkBack, because they're just trying to keep it in sync with Android. So we're gonna get TalkBack 17, or we're gonna get that's what's next, TalkBack 17, but it's not gonna be like that much better than 16.2. It's just the next year now, so it's going to get the new number, even though it could be basically the same thing.
Yeah, but even the point thing that you mentioned earlier, Karen, it was the same thing. There was nothing much to write home about either. I mean, earlier on, it made a difference, especially when you're looking at the KitKat. You talked about the 4.3 that became KitKat, or 4.4? Yeah, I think it was
4.4.
4.4. Yeah, that made a little difference. But frankly, after that, and I'm looking at the Nougat, for example, Nougat 7.0, 7.1, 7.11. It was all nonsense. Just basically, just little tweak here and there, but nothing different. So really, because I think that in Android, when we look at it, there's been 2 or 3 changes or major changes with Lollipop. When we have that, was that called the material design? I hope my memory serves me right. I think that was a major change from that hollow looking thing back in the days of KitKat and the others. And then, of course, we have that Material U, and then we have the expressive. And so there's been 3 major changes. But other than that, nothing really changed with those 0.1. So it's the same thing as those numbers, in my never to be humble opinion.
Yeah, but this
It's just to
should be
make
the
you buy
case.
the new phone. You need to know you have the new Android version first before anyone else, and that's what helps sell devices. So they just say,
Yeah, exactly.
and this is a perfect example. Like, you couldn't find anything new in Android 17, right? The only thing new about it is that we're now in 2026, and we're gonna try to sell some more phones.
Well, so this means that Android before was for geeks only and tech-savvy people. Right now, it's for the general consumer. For that reason, they should just try to be like making the things that other companies make, and they should just let the user feel that, okay, I'm getting something new. Because if you say, I'm getting Android 16.1, okay, what's the point? But if it's Android 17, then this could be, wow, something great. But I don't think that this should be the case, because if we look at it without looking at things from the marketing perspective, it's when I'm upgrading a full number, when I'm going from a version to version, there should be something that justifies this. Because, for example, WhatsApp is still just 2 point something, the version of WhatsApp, and you know how much differences are between the early WhatsApp versions and the new WhatsApp versions. So if WhatsApp wanted to go that route, the version could be now maybe WhatsApp 200 something or 300 something. But I know that people don't look at the WhatsApp version or the app version, but they just look at the Android version.
It totally makes sense, because when we're saying I'm looking for a phone, the question is, what Android version does it run? And so it's easier to say this is running Android 12, then I know, oh, I don't want that. It's an older version of Android, or versus does it have Android 16 yet? No one's going to say, does it have Android 15.1, or does it? No, we're looking at Android versions. So if I'm looking for a phone, I don't want to get a phone with Android 13, Android 14, or Android 15. That's from a few years ago. And so if I want a phone today, I want something that at least has Android 16. So to me, the numbering makes sense, and you said it makes it easier for marketing and all of that. So I think it's a better implementation when one compared it to the previous numbering system that we used to have, which is just kind of like a mufflehead kind of, I don't know, I don't even have the adjective to describe it.
I'm with Green on this. I prefer the previous implementation because the number means something, but Apple ruined everything. Like, when the iPhone came out and they had supposedly a new version of iOS every year that was a bigger number, then Android felt like they had to keep up with them, and they stopped doing that, the point releases, and just started adding a new version every year. And now that iOS has jumped to the year, just to make it seem like it's further along, I wouldn't be surprised if Android did the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I don't want. I don't want us to see Android 2026, Android 2027. Let's stop that. Well, I mean, if they want to do it, but I think I kind of like the numbering where we are right now. So next year would be Android 18 or whatever. But if Google decides to change it to Android 2027, Well, I guess we have no choice in the matter, but I hope they don't follow Fruitvale, Apple. But Apple sometimes is a trendsetter and they do it, and then the others follow them like sheep to the slaughter. And so we'll see what happens.